Living through the COVID-19 pandemic, the worst disaster of the past 100 years, struggling to recover from it, we now all know what happens when we do not listen to science and when we ignore risk. A public health crisis quickly turned into a socio-economic crisis, upending our lives, each and every aspect of it. We are living in a world surrounded by systemic risks and uncertainties, and the biggest risk driver of all is climate emergency. While we are struggling to keep the global temperature rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius, extreme weather events, combined with exposure and vulnerability, is impacting all of us. But the countries which have least contributed to creating this emergency, the small island developing states, the least developing countries, and the landlocked developing countries, they are being hit the hardest disproportionately. The science is clear on both the problem and the solutions. We know what to do. We need to reduce climate-induced disaster risk. We need to make all our decisions and policies risk-informed, and importantly, we need to dramatically enhance and finance our climate adaptation ambition. The UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction has great hopes and great expectations from this COP. Already, more than 100 countries committed to reducing their methane emission by 30%. This is a positive outcome, but more needs to come out from this COP. What are the things that need to be agreed at this COP from the disaster risk reduction perspective? First, the already promised $100 billion of finance for climate support. This needs to become a reality, and the share needs to be 50-50 between mitigation and adaptation. Why? Because the needs from developing countries for climate adaptation financing is already $70 billion annually, and this can rise to more than 4 times $300 billion per year by 2030. Second, we need to dramatically enhance our support to avert, minimize, and address disaster loss and damages. How can we do this? Well, first, we can invest in disaster loss damage databases and risk management tools. Through these support, we can help developing countries understand and manage their risk better. Ensuring a resilient world is the greatest public good that governments can deliver. On the contrary, if we cannot manage this climate emergency, it will lead to catastrophic consequences for future generations, and the future generation will never forgive us. Political leaders of the G20, industrialized countries, and all leaders of developed countries, they need to walk the talk. They need to turn their words into action, because this COP might be the last narrow window where we can make changes for the existence of humanity on this planet.